Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Safe Communities. My name is Joe McDonald, and I am the sheriff here in Plymouth County. And joining me today on this edition of Safe Communities is my partner in public safety, District Attorney Tim Cruz. Tim, thanks for being with us again.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
And also with us is Deputy Sheriff Tara Cruza, who works in our HEAT unit. The acronym stands for the High-Tech Evidence Analysis Team through our Bureau of Criminal Investigation here in Plymouth County. And we're here to talk about some things that are very important and I think near and dear to most of us as parents and as members of the community. We think, or should be thinking, very seriously about social media, internet safety, that type of stuff, because we're seeing an awful lot and have seen, with the rise of the internet over the last decade or so, new and innovative ways for bad guys to continue to commit some pretty serious crimes. And we're very blessed to have two real subject matter experts on that with us today. So having said that, we'll talk a little bit about, I think initially we wanted to talk about the texting and the driving. Right. We're seeing problems with that. I know that the legislature passed a law making it illegal for youngsters to use cell phones in vehicles, but texting and driving is still an issue, is it not?
It certainly is. I don't think there's a day that goes by that you can't either open up a newspaper or turn on the television and you see some terrible accident that occurred. And it's not unusual that people are now using their cell phones, their handheld devices, their telephones, and they're using them all the time. And people should understand that in the last year or two, the legislature did pass that law that it is illegal to text and drive. And there's been a number of prosecutions that have come from that as a result of some terrible accidents where people have been significantly injured. There's been enhanced penalties as well as enhanced license losses for individuals that choose to do that. And yet, I bet if you drove around today, you probably saw somebody on a phone looking at their text. And the numbers that are out there for the accidents that have gone up is really skyrocketed as a direct result, I think, of individuals who have been using their texting. So therefore, it is a crime, and it's still a crime for somebody to be, if you're sitting at a red light, if you're in your vehicle and you have your handheld device in your hand, you can't read it, you can't go on it, you can't look at it. That is still operation upon a public way, and at that time you are still texting. So therefore, you are subject to being penalized by a police officer if he sees you, pulls you over, as well as you get a civil fine. It's surchargeable if you're an adult, and also it's going to be potentially you're going to lose your license for a period of time, and you will pay a significant reinstatement fee, as well as having to go to a class as pertains to driving safely.
That's important to know because a lot of people may feel that if they're reading something, not actually entering data into this device, and they're at a red light, that, well, I'm not driving and I'm not texting. But that's important for people to know that that's not the case.
And I think the law is still changing, too, across our country. I know I just heard one of the states, I forget which one, that said that if you are texting someone that you know is operating a motor vehicle, if they can prove that you are aware of the fact that that person was operating a motor vehicle, you could be charged with a crime for that.
I read that
story. New Jersey. I read that
New Jersey.
This week.
Yeah, the civil liability, if you knew that. That was quite an astonishing turn of events. But we're going to follow this because, as Tim says, it is a very much evolving part of the law. And as technology improves and becomes, things that we can't even imagine right now, I'm sure there's going to be other ways for criminals to perpetrate these frauds. And sure. I know Deputy Cruza is very much involved in the HEAT team, as I had said, and they work with Tim's office, the prosecutors there, and other outside agencies, the state police, local police. Tell the audience what it is that you do on a daily basis.
So what I do is if you're arrested in the county and they seize a cell phone, a computer, a tablet, an iPhone, iPod, and they need evidence off it, I will process it, look for the evidence, and give it back to the DA's office and the police officers with my report.
So you essentially do a forensic investigation of the contents of the device. Yeah, that's important because you're able to do that. Well, how do you accomplish that, I guess is the best way for me to say it?
I have a couple different software programs that go through and get stuff, but it also gets deleted items, which I don't think a lot of people realize, especially on cell phones. So if you were texting and driving and you got in an accident and you quickly deleted your message, it might still be there and we might still see it. So people think, oh, well, it's deleted, it's not there anymore, I'm all set, but you're not.
Yeah, and then people are complicating things further by destroying or attempting to destroy evidence in the case. Yeah, that's interesting. Now, the way that you accomplish this, you're able to derive that data without affecting the device itself, the machine? You clone it? Or?
Yes, it does a forensic image, so it doesn't touch the hard drive or the phone at all. It grabs the data, makes an image, and then I work off of that. So I'm not actually working
All right.
off the
So
computer.
you're working off of a copy of exactly what's
Yes.
contained in that hard drive, thereby preserving the original evidence in
Yes.
its original form. Now, that's interesting to note, and it's important for people to understand that. But we've come across a lot of these internet scams, and most recently we've had some folks in our office who have been I don't know, targeted probably isn't the right word, but have been the attempt has been made. And if you could describe that for us a little bit, that would be important, I think.
So the latest example we had was it's a pop-up that comes up on your screen and it says, this computer is locked by the FBI. You can't do anything with the computer. And in this case, it actually activated the webcam and it took a picture of the person's house. So now they're looking, they're thinking, this person has been in my house, because they probably don't realize that the webcam could be activated by the virus. They see a picture of their house, those little pictures down the bottom that appear to be child pornography. They're panicking because now they think, oh my God, the FBI thinks I have child porn. They have a picture of my house, so they've been in here, what do I do? And on the pop-up, it'll say, all right, if you send $300 to this site, then we'll get rid of the virus for you. Obviously, you give them the $300, now they have your credit card, now they have more information, which is the plan. But in that case, that computer needs to be wiped. And another thing to think about is just a user of a computer or a phone, back up your data. Because if you do get a virus and you have to wipe the computer, you're gonna lose your pictures, your documents, your kids' homework, everything that you have on there. So just as a side note, not as a forensics person, just as a person who uses a computer, you should always back up your stuff at home.
So we're seeing a tremendous number, and have for many, many years. I know, Tim, you do a lot of talks in the community about those scams over the internet, and it seems like the bottom line always is looking to separate you from your money, either via credit card or your identity information, so that they can empty your bank account. That seems to be a trend here. Now, you mentioned also the word wiping a computer. What would you do? What is wiping a computer?
Well, in the case if you get a virus, you would basically reinstall Windows. You'd take everything off it and start from scratch. So you would essentially go back to a brand new computer.
With none of the data that you would have?
Nothing. So
Wow.
you lose your pictures and your music. And people spend a lot of money on music
Yeah.
if they're not stealing it, which they shouldn't be. And so they have that on there, and all that will be gone.
Yeah. Now, from your standpoint, Tim, have you seen a lot of these scams as well in the prosecution in the district court?
Yeah, I mean, you see that, and every now and then they'll pop up, whether it be somebody's going on somebody's Facebook, which, once again, Facebook is a great social media tool, but unfortunately, it just seems like everybody wants to put everything that they do on their Facebook as to where they're going, when they're going to be away on vacation, if they're going to an event. In other words, so that people can't be home. So people certainly need to be very careful with the information they put out there. But individuals are out there that are going into computers and trying to get into scams. They're very good at what they do. And it's not unusual for people to break in. And you hear one of the latest scams is you may get notified that a good friend of yours or a person that you know relatively well has been kidnapped and he's being held over in London, England. And that he's being held on bail and needs $1,500 cash. And then you try to find out about this person. You try to get in touch with his wife or perhaps their family members. And you can't all of a sudden. Or if they've defriended certain people so you can't go on their Facebook and find out what really happens. People will actually, in thinking they're helping their friends, will actually send monies out to try to help that individual that quote unquote was arrested or was in a car accident or whatever the event du jour is for that individual, what they use. And by the time that money's out and gone, you're probably never going to get that back. So when it's almost like anything that we've all been brought up with. If something's out there, something's happening in an emergency fashion, or if something seems too good to be true, it generally always is. And generally people are not going to give you something for nothing, whether it be winning a new car in a lottery up in Canada, which all you have to do is just send the $2,000 in tax money up there, and they're going to send you down your brand new 2014 vehicle. Once that happens, we can never really get that back. So people should really be reaching out to their law enforcement, to their heat, to their state police, to their local DA's office to find out what's going on with that and what can we find out, and perhaps is there a way for us to get at these individuals who are really perpetrating these frauds and trying to steal money from people on a really much larger basis.
Sure. Great advice. And one of the things that you bring up, contacting local law enforcement, the sheriff's office, the state police, local police, but also the DA's office. Could you tell the folks, are there folks in your office that they could reach out and talk to? Do you have specialized prosecutors for these types of things?
Yeah, we do. We have specialized prosecutors. We also have people that go to high schools and middle schools and talk to kids. And we also have a state police computer forensic team also that will also go through the computers. The one thing that we've learned over the last few years, though, since we've done Operation Trenchcoat with your office a few years back, we went on to get the online predators. They were thinking they were meeting children at a place here in Kingston, when in actuality they were meeting a full-grown state trooper and deputy sheriff and getting arrested, which was a very successful tool. People should understand that, that the individuals that are out there that are working really hard every day to make sure we can prosecute these cases and get these people who are trying to steal from us and also are trying to get after our kids. And that there is a whole world out there of individuals who will try to groom our kids, try to go online, try to talk to our kids. And I know that in the past, we've gone on adult chat rooms as an undercover has gone on and alleged that they were a 13-year-old child. And usually what you end up seeing happen, and this happened at one of our live presentations with your office, Joe, was within a moment of somebody saying I was a 13-year-old child, 90% of the people wanted nothing to do with that child who was in an adult chat room. But 10% of them focused right on them.
Right.
And 10% within a matter of moments was not only talking to that child, but also talking to them graphically, was also trying to get information and photographs off webcams and pictures, and really going after it and targeting our kids. So it really is so incredibly important for us as parents to make sure that we know what our kids are doing on their computer, doing on their handheld devices. I think sometimes people will give their children these phones and think that they come with directions or that the kids are going to follow them. Kids are going to be kids. Kids are going to use these devices, and kids are going to be talking to people online that they think are their friends, and kids need to be reinforced. People that you don't know are still strangers, and they can hurt you, and they will take your information, and they will hurt you. And I think nationally speaking, 1 in 5 kids who are talked to on the internet are going to at some point potentially be a victim of some sort of sexual exploitation, and we need to make sure we get in front of that.
Wow, that's an astonishing statistic and a very sad one. But I think the most important thing for the parents to understand is, as you say correctly, that the kids are still kids, regardless of how sophisticated the technology is. And we're still parents. We still have to stay right on top of what it is that they're doing with their online activities. I remember I was at that presentation when the parents were astonished that within a minute of going online as a 13-year-old child, your prosecutor was being spoken to by adult predators.
Right.
It was astonishing, and I think that's a great program. You're still doing that in the schools and
Right.
locally. That's a great thing. Now, was there somebody in your office that people could contact if they wanted to do that program?
Sure, they can contact Kristen Stone is the assistant DA that does it, that goes to the schools in conjunction with myself and Frank Driscoll from the state police. But they can just contact the normal number at the district attorney's office at 508-584-8120. And we set up things at middle schools. Usually what we'll do is we'll do one for the kids themselves, and later on that night we'll do that for the parents. And I think it's a real eye-opener for the parents when they come and watch this great tool, the internet, which is a great educational tool, but it also opens the door for predators to come after our kids. And we still have to be parents. We still have to be vigilant. And also, watch their phones. Make sure that, just because a kid has a phone doesn't mean you have to give them all the necessary applications. You can make sure you can limit what your child has, and therefore try to monitor it as best you can, because like I said, and like you said, the kids are going to be kids. And if I don't have it on my phone, you might have it on your phone. I'm going to go to my buddy's house and try to get it done.
Yeah.
Kids are very savvy, even though they're just children.
That brings me to another point, and I know you've spoken about this before, but I think it's so important that it bears repeating. Sexting and some of the things that we're seeing at some of the local schools with the kids, with those personal handheld devices. Talk about that if you would.
Yeah, sexting is basically, it's the sharing of sexual images. And at some point, it really depends upon who is sending what and who are they sending it to. And if it's obscene material, we have a law in Massachusetts, the dissemination of obscene material. We have dissemination of obscene material to a child. We also have child pornography and possession of child pornography. I think lots of times with kids, what we end up seeing when we go to middle schools is some young child who believes they're in some form of a dating relationship with another 12 or 13-year-old will take a photograph of themselves with their phone, an inappropriate photo, and send it to their boyfriend/girlfriend, and then what usually happens is that other child will immediately take it and send it to a whole bunch of friends. And then it's all across the school. And all of a sudden you're getting these terrified calls from parents. we need to make sure that our kids understand that the internet really has what I think we refer to as forever consequences. You're never going to get some of this stuff out of the internet, no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you try to wipe stuff. Once it's out there in that world, it's out there in that world. So we need to make sure that our kids understand that, and we also need to make sure that our kids understand that when they, even though they are a child themselves, if they take a photograph of themselves as a child and send it to somebody else, they have just disseminated child pornography. And when that child receives it, he's in possession of child pornography. And when he sends it out to his buddies, he's also disseminated it. So it's a crime. And of course, our kids have no idea that they're violating any federal or state laws when they're doing that. And therefore, it's important for us, I think, to teach our kids about the parameters as to what is appropriate, what is not appropriate, and what can we do to make sure that we stop this before it happens. Because unfortunately, it happens at most schools. And lots of times it's handled in-house. And I think a lot of the school resource officers do a good job in trying to do that and getting phones and doing what they can. But our kids need to understand that once a photograph, an inappropriate photo of them is out there, it's always going to be out there. And when you're applying for college, when you're trying to get jobs, when you're trying to do anything, that stuff pops up, and probably at a really inopportune moment.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine the peer pressure that these kids feel. I know when we were younger, there was a peer pressure, but there was no immediate action. If you wanted to take a picture, you'd have to bring it to be developed and then hand it
Right.
out. And now it'll take you 2 seconds. You take a picture, okay, take a picture, and now it's out there. And you know how kids are with their dating, and they're 12 and 13. They're not going to last very long, and now they break up. Oh, look at all this stuff I have. Now they get revenge on the
Right.
boy or girl, and it's just, I get cases like that all the time.
Yeah, and what they think are, pranks are really serious, serious crimes.
Right.
And they can be life-changing, and that's important for parents to understand and get a handle on. And I'm imagining that must be part of your programs in the schools now.
I think that there's devastating consequences for everybody involved in it. For a child that potentially is going to be charged potentially with a criminal offense, or with a child who's in an inappropriate photograph that is sent out there, and how embarrassed they are from that, and whatever consequences may come from that. So it's really something that kids need to understand. And that's why we as parents have to teach our kids. And we have to make sure that our kids have the appropriate applications that they need. I think most kids, when I go to these meetings and I ask kids, how many of you kids have a cell phone? And if there's 300 kids in that room, 299 will raise their hand. And then the next question is, how many of you kids have camera capabilities on that phone?
All of them.
I think they all do. I don't think they make phones anymore, to tell you the truth, without cameras.
It's hard to find.
They're just, there's camera capabilities on virtually everything. And therefore, that opens up a 12, 13, 14-year-old kid potentially to some form of abuse with those photos.
Wow.
And I think it's also important to note, they think if they send it through Snapchat or one of those applications that, oh, it's only on the screen for so many seconds and then it goes away. You can take screenshots of that stuff and you can just click it and now you've saved it. And the same with Skyping, where they're doing the video chats. If you're showing something inappropriate on that, you think, well, he's not recording it, so I'm fine. He could do screenshots of that. So now thinking, okay, I did this, I got away with it. He could be saving that too. So kids need to be aware that it's not just, you don't just go by the application. Okay, this is what it does, so this is what's going to happen. People are smart. Kids know how to use phones,
Right.
and they're going to take pictures, and they're going to save it, and you just have to be
When
very
you
careful.
say a screenshot, what do you mean by that?
Basically, I know with an iPhone, you just hit 2 buttons, and it takes a picture of your screen. So if you have a picture that you think, okay, it'll be deleted in 20 seconds or whatever it is, if you hit it and take a screenshot, you've got it saved now.
So the person essentially has, or the recipient has about 20 seconds to
Yeah.
save that, and then they can do whatever they want with it. And the person who sent it now, unfortunately, has no idea what is out there.
It has no, exactly, he knows what he sent, but he thinks it's been dissolved
Yeah, he
because
thinks,
it's only
oh,
going to
it's
last
saved.
for a short period of time. And now it's been saved, and all of a sudden that picture, which may be between friends at the time, and maybe it's something that's inappropriate, they send it to a friend of theirs, and all of a sudden it's been saved, and who knows where that's eventually going to be sent. And now you got a hard copy of that photograph out there, and who knows where that will lead.
Wow. Scary stuff.
It's so scary. Parents need to pay attention to their kids' phones, because I think even an iPod, you think, oh, it's an iPod, it plays music. But now when an iPod is on Wi-Fi, it's essentially an iPhone. So you can text, you can chat, you could do video chats, you can talk to anyone that you want. And I think parents just assume, okay, well, it's not, it's for kids, so it's fine. And you really need to pay attention and look at night, take it away, look through it, see what they're doing. And
Right. And don't let the kid, at night, take their phone away from
Yeah.
them. Put the phone on the kitchen counter. Don't let them go to their bedroom with it so they can talk to their friends all night.
No, because
or
even
to
if
other
you
people.
shut off Wi-Fi in your house, you're like, okay, Wi-Fi's off. The neighbor probably has Wi-Fi.
Right.
If it's open, he can jump on that. So now he's up till 1 o'clock in the morning talking on the neighbor's internet. You'd have no idea.
Wow.
And in I think what you said also about the other games, the internet games, and yeah, I know like we were told a story at one of these class events that we go to of a woman that was at an airport with her child, and there's a child sitting there with a game, and all of a sudden the child kept raising their hand, and the mother goes, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Oh, the person wants me to keep raising my hand," because that meant that that person was nearby. And had jumped online with that child and trying to locate that child. Keep raising your hand. So those games, harmless games, because of what they are capable of, they can be used for so many great things, which is a great thing in the right hands. But it can also be used for really sinister ways and allows predators to go after our kids. And therefore, it's incumbent upon us, I think, as parents, to make sure that we're watching that, monitoring our kids, monitoring their phones. Take their phones away from them when they do something wrong. It's your phone. Put your computer in a room that everybody can see it, if they're still using a face computer. Don't let the kids have it in their room where you walk in, all of a sudden they turn and get rid of the face shot that's on there, what they're doing. Be a parent to our kids. Now more than ever, because when we were kids growing up, maybe there was some guy standing behind the school that was trying to get at our kids. Now they're in our homes through our computers. They have access to our kids. They know how to get it. And our kids don't know really who they're talking to. Maybe they think they're talking to another 12, 13, 14-year-old kid. And before you know it, they get groomed, they give information, and it's not unusual for people to give that information out. Go get your parents' credit card number, and before you know it, bad things can happen and kids are missing.
Wow. Now, I know it's incumbent upon us as parents to keep up as best we can with the technological changes. And I can imagine, and I've had this conversation, my children are 11 and 5, and with my 11-year-old especially, we've tried to explain to her and let her know that not everyone she talks to or communicates with online is who they claim to be. We've done a good job of warning her of these things. And I think as parents, that's important for us to do. But what else do you guys recommend that parents do in order to assist their children or to monitor their internet use?
Well, I mean, I think that we should make sure our kids understand that they should protect their information, protect their passwords. The password is like the key to your house. So if these kids are giving out their password to other kids, allowing them access to their computers, allowing them access to their information. We live in a world nowadays where information is everything. And if I lost my wallet, somebody may throw my wallet out in the woods with the money in it, but they want the information they can extrapolate from my Social Security card if I have it, or my license, or the other things such as that. Information is what's driving the bus on this. So I think that telling our kids to protect their information, protect their password, and let them understand that that there are people out there who would take advantage of that, and they are not who they say they are. It's communication with our kids once again, and I'm talking face-to-face talking community. I'm not talking texting to each other. I'm talking sitting down and talking to our kids and letting them understand. Now, my kids, when they were smaller, didn't want to hear me talk any more than any other parent. Any other kid wants to listen to their parent. But it's important to do that, and I think that if we do that, we can do the best job that we can do to protect our kids before something terrible potentially happens down the road, because it can happen, and it can happen anywhere. And it doesn't matter what the crime may be, things happen. And it's important for us to be, I think, as prepared as possible for that, and to make sure that we can be ready if something does happen, because good kids sometimes make bad decisions.
Tara, what do you think?
I think, like you said, you have to check the phones. You have to talk to your kids. What did you do today? Go through their friend list. Check and see who they're friends with on Facebook. Go to Twitter. See what they're putting out there, because I think some parents just don't pay attention, or they use the excuse, well, I didn't have a computer when I was a kid, so I don't really know how it works. And that's not an excuse anymore. If your kid has an iPhone, get an iPhone. Figure out how it works. Know what the applications do. Try them out. Put a password on the applications on your phone so they can't just download any ones that they want. Make sure that you know what's on there. Check it. If you can, sync your pictures with the iCloud and sync your kids. Because I know a couple of cases where the kid deleted the picture that they took, but it got synced to the cloud and then got put back on the parent's phone. So they were like, what is this picture? This isn't from my phone. It was the kid who took it. And now they were like, wait a minute, when did you take this? Oh, I sent it to some guy that I met on Facebook and didn't know who he was. So I think you need to pay attention to that and check on your privacy. Facebook is fun and it's cool to use, but it's also a great way for people to find out where you are, what you're doing. If you have GPS set up on your phone, Facebook will post where you are when you're posting. Your pictures will have the GPS embedded in it. So if they get those things, they can figure out where you've been. Just a simple thing, like you're on Facebook, even if you have everything locked down, your profile picture and your cover picture are public. And when you put up a new profile picture, the old one is still public. So some kids or even adults who are in trouble, you're looking them up, you can see, oh, you have 50 pictures up here that you didn't know you put because you thought, oh, it's all locked down, everything's fine. But all those pictures are still public, so people can look. And then you have comments on them. Oh, your son looks so nice. They use his name. Okay, now someone can go look at that and say, okay, well, your brother's name is this, and your sister's name is this, and this is where you were, and your grandparents live here. And so you have to check, even like something silly like the comments. See what people are commenting on your pictures. If they're using specifics, if they're using names, then get rid of them, delete them, because other people can see it.
And in the photographs, you can extrapolate information also. Like if your child is going to a certain school, and say the name of that team is the Warriors. If they're wearing jerseys, if they have numbers on them, people can figure out. And through that, they know exactly where you may be from the general area. But if you play for the picture of you and the Warriors, and if you have your certain number, oh, you're number 15 on the Warriors. And next thing you know, somebody has got information about where your kid goes to school, what sports do they play, what time are they playing those sports, what's their sports schedule. And all of a sudden, somebody can focus on your child because you put a picture out there.
Wow. It's amazing. And, you know, the only thing that I can advise folks to do is that if they have questions about these things, they should definitely seek out some expert opinions. And I know folks in your office, at the DA's office, Tim, are willing to come out, do these programs. That's a great thing. I know Tara would certainly like to get calls if people have questions. You know, we're certainly there to help, and I think our local police departments would be very, very helpful as well. As we draw to a close here, one of the things, or two of the things that I wanted to touch on quickly before we finish, one of the things that was particularly scary to me about the virus story was how these individuals were able to get pictures of people's homes. How do they do that, and what can they do to prevent that type of thing?
What they did on this particular one is they activated the webcam. So most laptops have webcams right at the top. You probably don't even pay attention to it. And it can signal it and activate it and take a picture. An easy way.
So they're watching you through your webcam, and you don't even know.
They could be watching you. In this case, they just took a picture. It was more just to scare you. But yeah, they can activate it if they wanted to. So just simple, put a Band-Aid over it. If you're not using it, stick a Band-Aid over it. It's in your room, or close your laptop so no one can see you. And then when you're gonna use it, take it off, look at it, and you're good to go. But just something simple as a Band-Aid.
Wow. And that's great advice. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and we mentioned before, and I think you said it, Tim, that the internet is forever. When you have a digital device that you've outgrown, the technology's changed, you want to upgrade it, I know a lot of places will buy those old devices from you. Is that a good idea or a bad idea, and why?
For a computer, definitely remove the hard drive. I think people dig through it. If you're in doubt, just keep it in your basement. Don't throw it away. But if you throw away a whole entire computer, now they've got your banking information. Anyone who picks it up can get that information. As for a phone, you can do a wipe. You can do it yourself. You can reset the phone to factory settings. There's an SD card usually in it, and that will have all your pictures. So take that out if you're gonna do it. But if the person who's buying it, if it's your neighbor and you know they're gonna use it, okay, it's fine. But if you sell it to someone who has a forensic machine, they can get the same data I can, so they can get your deleted items. So it all depends on your comfort level. I personally wouldn't sell a cell phone back just because I wouldn't feel safe.
Sure, sure. Well, I want to thank you guys, again, two subject matter experts, for being with us today and sharing this information. And I know that the folks out there can contact the district attorney's office and speak to the appropriate staff. If you're not sure, just let them know what the nature of your question is, and they will direct the call from there. Or call the sheriff's office or your local police. There are very, very many resources out there. We're here to help, and you know, once again, it's all about safe communities, and that's what we're about. So thank you very much. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you.